India doesn't like to interfere in the internal matters of other countries. Officially, it has stated this on numerous occasions. Unfortunately for India, this approach does not guarantee that other countries will stop interfering in matters which India considers internal. From the situation in Kashmir to the CAA, the Prime Minister of Malaysia has been very vocally critical of events in India. Does that mean that Malaysia is in a position to be a role model for India in terms of religious freedom and democracy? It should not be forgotten that in January 2019, PM Mahathir Mohamad stated at Oxford University's debating chamber that it was his country's right to forbid Israeli nationals from entering Malaysia. He added that a country has the right to keep its borders closed to certain people. That's why borders are there. So, in that case, going by Mahathir's own words, can India also decide who it wants to keep its border close to? It is also important to take into account that India does not interfere with internal affairs in Malaysia. That includes the public whippings and canings of women that are believed to have engaged in lesbian acts, and the delicate circumstances in Sabah, where over 1 million Muslims were permitted to relocate from Indonesia and the Philippines in the 1990s, which caused a shift in the state's ethnic balance, making the political power to fluctuate away from the indigenous people. It is against the law in Malaysia for non-Muslims to proselytize Muslims. The punishments for this crime differ between the different states, but can include a caning or even having to serve prison time. However, this law does not prohibit Muslims from converting those of other religions and even supports their efforts to convert others to their religion. If a non-Muslim wants to marry a Muslim, it is required to switch to Islam in order for the marriage to be considered official. In Malaysia, the atrocities on Tamil Hindus and the destruction of Hindu temples have been reported. Muslims in the country have been offered monetary compensation as well as other incentives if they are able to marry the indigenous inhabitants of peninsular Malaysia, the Orang Asli, managing to convert them to Islam through their marriage. The Kelantan state government in Malaysia disclosed that in exchange for marrying an Orang Asli woman, Muslim men would be given 10,000 ringgits. It is important to note that although the Prime Minister of Malaysia has been quite aggressive in his dealings with India, the tourism market in Malaysia is focusing on an estimated 7% increase for the arrival of Chinese and Indian tourists, coinciding with Visit Malaysia 2020. According to reports by Reuters, in November 2019, Indian refiners had already resumed their purchasing of palm oil from Malaysia. To a neutral observer, it may appear that India doesn't believe in muscle flexing and has a somewhat soft international policy. But does that mean it is justified to tag India by terms such as fascist or pro-Nazi? The cruel irony is that many who use such terms also carry a lot of hatred in their hearts for the very community that faced Nazi persecution. The Malaysian PM appears to be unhappy about the situation in India. So, will the world become a better place if India becomes as religiously free as Malaysia? Is this what the Malaysian Prime Minister wants to indicate? Well, according to Malaysia's Senate President, Vigneswaran Sanasi, other countries might take the view that democracy in Malaysia is being very limited in its true sense compared with the practice in India. What do our viewers think of this development? See you again.